Uh, it says Detroit has found a unicorn in Moritz Seider. Details how important the young defenseman is to the surge in Red Wings and how much more of an addition into this article. So I go click on the article, and it was a very good article. It says it started with here: death taxes and the Detroit Red Wings make the playoffs. Those were the three guarantees in life for a long time. The Wings made the playoffs from 1990 to 2016, a 25 season stretch where only a lockout could stop them. That seemed like a lifetime ago for Wings fans, though, as Detroit has now missed spring hockey for 9 consecutive campaigns. A lengthy rebuild under the watch of Steve Yzerman, dubbed the Iserplan, has taken far longer than anyone in the organization hoped. That said, patience may finally be paying off. Detroit is sitting second in the Atlantic, looking poised to finally end its lengthy playoff drought, and Moritz Seider is the backbone of their blue line and is the biggest reason the Wings appear to have turned the corner. It goes on. Seider has been a standout defenseman for some time, but this year he has taken a game to a different level and is starting to get mentioned in the same conversation with the league's elite. The 24-year-old unique blend of skill, size, physicality, and the ability to play in every situation makes him somewhat of a unicorn when it comes to number one defenders. Detroit leans on Seider heavily, the tune of more than 25 minutes a night. That's 6th highest ice time per game in the league and nearly 3 more minutes than Detroit's next highest defender. Those aren't easy minutes either. Seider is playing more than a minute and a half shorthanded and starting his shifts in the defensive zone more than 50% of the time, often playing against the opponent's best competition. The pair of Seider and Edvinsson has become one of the best shutdown duos in the game thanks to the dominance in the defensive zone. Heading into Thursday night, and despite starting on the offensive zone together only 32% of the time, the Wings still generated 576 scoring chances at 5-on-5 with Seider and Edvinsson on ice, compared to just 482 against. That's a near minus 100 in more than 563 minutes together. Detroit is also plus 72 in shots with Seider and Edvinsson on ice and plus 10, minus 10 in the goals. The Wings have a goals for percentage of 60 when they are on the ice together. Seider and Edvinsson have delivered all this while being on the ice for the 5th most defensive draws this season. They go on and on about Seider. Seider is not afraid to put his body on the line when he talks about shots. He's had 103 blocks this year. That's 5th in the NHL. And they say, of course, Seider isn't the only part of the Iserplan. It's been a slow build that's included drafting Lucas Raymond, Edvinsson, Sebastian Kosa, Marco Kasper, Nate Danielson, and Axel Sindin Pelika in the past 6 years, who have all figured out to be a big part of the Red Wings core into the future. And that was about Seider, because he's been a huge reason for the success of this team. And I read the article about Seider and what he's been able to do as a player for this Detroit Red Wings team. And it's just interesting because you think about Seider, and if my co-host was here, Cindy, she would tell you she's seen this coming from a mile away. She's seen this coming from a mile away. And Seider is an interesting player because he's a big physical guy and, kind of reminds me of like a Victor Hedman type. And he's kind of gelling into that role of being a Victor Hedman type. And with his progression, the Red Wings have gotten a lot better. And I think that's what the Iserplan really needed, was someone from the roster to take a step up. And Moritz Seider has taken that next step up. You look at the goals. He's got 7 goals this year, 24 assists, 31 points. He's a plus 11. You looked at the stat cord. This was a couple weeks ago. Plus 6.9 offensive rating, defensive ratings plus 4, net rating 11.3. I mean, power plays, goals for, he has 18. Just unbelievable stats right there. And it just goes to show you, like, the reason that this success that the Red Wings are having is tied directly to the players that are on the roster. And, we came into this year and there was a big hope that someone would take the next step. It wasn't a very eventful offseason for Detroit, but Yzerman had the opinion. He had the wherewithal to say, look, we have to continue to get production from the players that we've drafted. Seider, Axel Sandin Pellikka, Lucas Raymond, Edvinsson. These guys are going to be a huge, crucial part. You can't build a team through free agency. You can't build a team through trades. You got to draft and develop. That's the way it goes. And it took a little bit of more the time than people wanted to think. A lot of people wanted this to go quicker than most thought. And the reality of the situation is it didn't go as quick as everyone thought, but it's starting to pay off now, and I look at the standings, like I said earlier, they're second in the Atlantic. They're taking care of business. Their points, if you look at their point percentage, which I think is the biggest thing when you talk about, certain teams playing less games like Tampa Bay and all those teams, point percentage matters. Detroit's got the fourth best point percentage in the entire NHL. I mean, in the Eastern Conference. So I look at that and I say that's a huge mark for this Detroit team. They're moving forward in the right direction. Seider has been a huge reason why. And now it's going to be interesting because, this is going to be an interesting time for the Red Wings because this Olympic break is going to break up a little bit of momentum, and they're going to go into late February, early March. Going to have to reinstall it again. But where they are in the standings is a good barometer of where this team is going to be moving forward. And like the article says, it's interesting that Yzerman had a huge point producer during his career, has molded the team around a hard-nosed blue liner and a top defensive pair that appears to be carrying this team to the postseason. If Detroit gets in this season with Seider leading the charge, there's a good chance that it's the start of another long run of playoff hockey that includes the Red